gentlemen of the press, press statement for immediate release. Central calls for full adherence to Supreme Court's ruling in the legislative impasse on Capitol Hill. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen of the press, thanks for your continuous support to Central and our quest to promote good governance, a culture of transparency and accountability, and rule of law in Liberia. We deeply value your support and contributions to the work of civil society, especially Central. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, for more than 6 months, Liberians have witnessed their lawmakers invest valuable time, energy, and resources to remove a speaker rather than crafting critical legislations to help ameliorate the hardship faced by their constituents. In all days, ordinary Liberians have been the most victimized. Lawmakers have accused each other of bribery, budget, and other forms of corruption. We have seen a segment of the Capitol building quartered by fire, and the 2025 national budget passed by the House of Representatives within an unprecedented 10 days period and concurred with by the Senate on the same day it received the said budget. In all days, Liberians in Liberia have borne the brunt. On Wednesday, April 23, 2025, the Supreme Court of Liberia, whose decisions are final and binding on all other courts and government agencies, branches of government, delivered a ruling declaring as unconstitutional all legislative actions taken by members of the House of Representatives under the umbrella of the majority black or the cum black, in which the Speaker, if duly elected, Chief Francis Kufa, is not presiding, despite not being absent or incapacitated. The ruling, among others, rendered null and void decisions and actions taken by members of the majority black led by Representative Richard Cohn, including his election as Speaker and suspension of several colleagues. Furthermore, the court's ruling sought to address legal issues related to the prolonged political and leadership rancor at the House of Representatives and address a bill of information filed by Speaker Kofa seeking clarity on the court's December 6, 2024 ruling on that matter, in which it ambiguously declared the majority block's actions as illegal. However, reactions to the court's ruling have been diverse. While many who think the ruling has brought a closure to the prolonged dispute, public comments from key members of the regime in the opposition have proven otherwise. On one hand, government officials took to social media in outright rejection of the court's ruling, although the Minister of Information, Honorable Jeremy Pia, indicated acceptance and respect for the court's ruling. Also, in his reaction, Representative Richard Cohn, leader of the majority black of lawmakers, vowed that his group of lawmakers would not recognize or adhere to the ruling. Meanwhile, Speaker Kofa welcomed the ruling and promised to make reconciliation and collaboration a key priority. Other key opposition figures, including former Vice President Joe Howard Taylor, hinted at chaos if the government refuses to abide by the court's ruling. In his address to the nation, President Joseph N. Boakai promised to continuously work with the body constituting a quorum to ensure full functioning of government, and appeared reluctant to recognize the legitimacy of Speaker Kofa's leadership or to restore his rights and privileges as affirmed by the Supreme Court. This is despite the fact that the Supreme Court's declaration as null and void of all sittings of the House without Speaker, especially when he is present and incapacitated. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, Center believes that a pronouncement by the President of Liberia to sever ties with the Cone Black after the unambiguous quote on constitutional declaration would have demonstrated full compliance with the court's mandate. Instead, continuous engagement with the said faction only amounts to disregard of the court's opinion. It represents a grave setback to the country's improving democratic and constitutional credentials. Center recognizes the contention that it seems unlikely that members of the Cone Black will return to sessions presided over by Speaker Kofa. Proponents of this contention argue that there is a need for the government to function, and that the President has no alternative for the work of the Cone Black since they meet legislative quorum. We find this argument troubling, since the Supreme Court has said that a quorum that is not presided over by a legitimately elected Speaker is in effect no quorum at all. Central also considers the challenge that no rule has been promulgated by the House to enable Speaker Kofa to compel members of the Cone Black to attend session. In response, Central notes that over 39 years ago, our Constitution mandated the legislature to prescribe said rule to compel attendance of absent members, but have failed to do so. The legislature bears the burden of this failure to act, and it is our hope that this is addressed as soon as stability returns to the House. In the absence of the law compelling attendance, however, Senda believes that it is incumbent on members of the Cone Black to respect the ruling of the Supreme Court and attend the session presided over by Speaker Kofa. Once in such proper forum, they can initiate any proceeding to remove Speaker Kofa if they so wish, consistent with law. In the absence of such action, Speaker Kofa cannot be constructively removed by absenting themselves from their legislative duty. We note also that a petition for re-argument has been filed by the Cone Black. In our opinion, the filing of said petition is a recognition of the weight of the court's decision in the matter. In the absence of any communication from the court notifying its prior decision, we believe that the opinion of the court remains valid until such time that it is overturned or validated by them. Hence, we call on the executive to proceed in respecting the Supreme Court's decision until the court says otherwise. Meanwhile, like election-related disputes, which are speedily handled by the Supreme Court, we strongly urge the court to attach similar urgency to matters like these that have serious implications for proper governance of the country. We believe that the court's undue delay in ruling on the bill of information filed by Speaker Kofa contributed to prolongation of the conflict which continues to hurt the country. In conclusion, we call on the legislature to lead by example as the direct representatives of the people. This example should first be set by adherence to the rule of law, including through respect for laid down procedures on removal of a sitting speaker. There can be no shortcut about this, as any will surely harm the country, just as we have seen over the last few months, whereby there has been a near dysfunctional legislature and slow pace of key decision making on key national issues and documents. Therefore, we call on President Joseph M. Boakai to ensure the full enforcement of the April 23, 2025 ruling of the Supreme Court by restoring the rights and privileges of Speaker Kofa and severing any ties with the Quorum Club of Lawmakers until the Supreme Court can rule otherwise. Signed, Senator Martin.
Thank you very much. That was the reading of our position on the impasse at the House of Representatives done by Program Manager Tony Gerald and Yekula. Now it's your turn to ask questions. You have more than one, or question if you have one. Yeah, so now turn to here. Blamoto.
So my name is Blamoto, a report for the Liberian Investigator. So Yekula, it's good that you are a partisan lawyer. The president, his statement following the court's final ruling, is in reference what constitutes the quorum in line with the Liberian Constitution and what the Supreme Court really also said. However, he said he would, or the government will work with the side that has quorum for the smooth functioning of the government. What's your take on that? Do you think the president was legally okay with that particular statement?
That's why in our statement we've said, we particularly referenced that statement by the president and said that yes, why the court have said that quorum is necessary, but the court has also said that quorum that has to conduct business must be legally presided over by the speaker. So when the Constitution says quorum, it means that quorum must have a speaker, duly elected. And unless that speaker is not available, is incapacitated, then a quorum that does not have his presence can be deemed to be a quorum. In this case, in the Supreme Court notes, the speaker is not absent, he is not ill, he's not bedridden, he's present. But we have certain group of people saying that they are a quorum. That is against the mandate of the Constitution, it's against the interpretation of the Constitution by the Supreme Court. And this is the reason why we are saying that the president ought to respect the court's ruling, because of all quorums are not quorum. The legally recognized quorum is a quorum is presided over by the speaker. In the absence of that, any such body is legal nullity in effect.
So just a follow-up.
Yes.
Finally, Speaker Kofa, in an event where all of the colleagues, because we have got information that some of the colleagues are also leaving and joining the South majority people. In an event where all of those colleagues are leaving, what do you also stand in terms of legitimacy as well, and in terms of conducting the daily businesses?
Even if Kofa is the only one who is the speaker, only side is the speaker at the position of center. And that should give even the majority of black as a part of themselves more reason to go and enter session where he's presiding as speaker. Because then they have the number, the law says if they leave 49 person to remove him. If everybody go to their side, they are 49, then they should be able to remove him, so they can simply now proceed with the process of removing him, so they have the number to be able to remove him. But we cannot say that we'll continue in this country where there are clear laws for removal of the speaker. Or we'll devise our own mechanism whereby a few people just go and sit down and absent themselves and say, look, we have the number, so you know, no longer speaker. That is not democratic, it's against the spirit of our constitution, and we must not allow that to take root.
Thank you.
Okay, let's take
My name is we stand in a rep for the New Dawn newspaper. I'm concerned about some next course of action if the president failed to adhere to your call to restore the right of embattled speaker of Jeff Matiko. What happened?
I mean, Central remains an institution that hopes that the president will do the right thing. And we believe that this president, he took oath on January 22nd to uphold and defend our constitution. We believe that when he said those words, he never took those words lightly. They were very seriously uttered by him. And we believe that he is going to do what is right. And I'm sure even the petition of re-argument is in line. And they may have caught themselves and said, no, we cannot, be flagrantly going opposed to the Supreme Court's ruling. So we'll now go back and use another legal means. Because the law says, look, there can be an avenue for re-argument once. If you think that the Supreme Court, did not or overlook a certain point of law that you raised, they did not consider. Now that they are going back, they're still using the law. So I believe that the president now is still, coming to grapple with the fact that the law must be respected. So in that light, I am convinced and I believe that the president will do the right thing to ensure that he continuously acts in consonance with the laws of this country, including any interpretation made by the Supreme Court. If he doesn't do it, we can only hope that he will do it. If he doesn't do it, we'll continue to play our role as an organization. We'll continue to say he's wrong for not following the laws of this country. We'll continue to make our position very clear.
Thank you very much. Thank you.